Manchester United 2, Manchester City 0. The scoreline shocked the football world. But the real story is not just the injuries or missing stars. This was a tactical demolition. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City were exposed in ways we haven't seen in years by struggling Man United. Defensive vulnerabilities, questionable personnel choices, and a midfield that got completely overrun. Michael Carrick's United didn't just win, they outthought Pep. Welcome to Beyond the Final Whistle, where we go deeper than the final score. My name is Evo. Today, we're breaking down how and why Manchester City fell apart in this Manchester derby. As you can see here, this is our Man City lineup with a 4-1-4-1, with Rodri being the only basically deep-lying midfielder. So, the other four right behind Haaland, Dorgu, Silva, Foden, and Semenyo, very attacking players, right? So basically, Man City was playing with two tens, right, in Silva and Foden, and then the wingers with Dorgu and Semenyo supporting Haaland. So the two center back only had protection from Rodri, which, for a 4-5-1 would be enough with a defensive midfielder. But in this case, is very different, right? Very attacking lineup that we see here. So, and I'm going to break down how this particular lineup caused a lot of problems. And then afterwards, what we could do or what Pep could have done to make it better. But the first thing really that we're going to cover would be the lineup, right? The formation that he started with. And which players he should have gone with to begin the game. I know in hindsight it's easier said than done, but I'll kind of explain my reasoning behind my suggestions here. So here the game was still 0-0, and we have Man United with the ball. As you can see, Ake is kind of sprinting back, but look at Mbeumo right here on bottom left. Of the really like right in at the middle of the screen with no one. Rodri also running back with basically doing what he's supposed to do as that defensive midfielder to kind of give that additional coverage, but very exposed, right? Kusanov didn't really do a great job here. Could have run towards Mbeumo, but I'm going to play this segment here real quick and see how really no one picked up Mbeumo. And look, despite that, if we kind of just go back a little bit, like even if Ahmad didn't take that shot, look at two Manchester United players right there at the edge of the box with no one marking them, right? So this is a big problem that I was highlighting with that one defensive midfielder. Now, Rodri was there, right? But who else? No other center midfielder kind of like providing that much coverage. And I mean, Ahmad could have just easily passed to Bruno Fernandes, and that's almost like guaranteed goal right here. And he said he took the shot, right? And then still Casemiro almost still got the goal because no one really tracking him. No midfielders tracking Casemiro there in that situation. And this is another play where counterattack, right? Mbeumo with the ball, only one person covering the center backs, and really like no one else. And really, really quickly, we are in a 4v2 situation with obviously their best player in Bruno Fernandes with the ball and with lots of options to cover, right? 4v2. Now, Semenyo is doing a great job in trying to sprint back and track it, but like look at that much exposure of not having a true defensive midfielder or playing with two center midfielders. But yeah, I'm gonna play this and we'll see again. 4v2, two of the players, Man City players, right, sprinting back with Kusanov again. Didn't really do a great job in tracking Mbeumo. And I mean, that's goal, right? It's easy. Great pass by Bruno Fernandes. Picked up the right player and really easy to go right there. Boom. And this is another play that we have with just highlighting some of the vulnerabilities Manchester City demonstrated in this game. Um, as we can see here, again, they actually in this situation is a little bit different. They have more players, right? But defensive vulnerability again, players, lack of midfielders. I know, like in this situation, Ahmad actually scores this goal because I don't know who that was, but it might have been Rico Lewis, who Lewis didn't do a great job in kind of tracking Dorgu. But look at what I'm highlighting here, that much space right at the edge of the box. So even if Cunha didn't pass that ball, like that great pass to Dorgu, he still had Bruno Fernandes right there all by himself. Ahmad was getting close also, right there at the edge of the box. So very wide open, not great positioning from Manchester City players in tracking that. And then in this situation, Kusanov really didn't play well that game. Lewis also, like he should have tracked that, but again, another goal for Man United. Here again, look at how wide open Ahmad was from this play. Very, very. I know here the game was already 2-0. So, yes, Manchester City was kind of at the point where they're all up front trying to score and maybe, I don't know, at this point, they wouldn't really tie the game because it was already at the end of the game. But we can see here is that, again, only one player really tracking that play for Ahmad. So going back to the Manchester City lineup and how that problem or defensive vulnerability could have been avoided with both the actual formation moving from the 4-1-4-1 to a 4-2-3-1 would have been a lot better. And some of the players that could have done a better job here, obviously in hindsight easier, but this is going to be real quick and demonstrating how I would line up if I were Pep, right? So to start, just move to a two center midfielders, right? Um, with I wouldn't put Silva here. I'm going to replace him, but you get additional coverage from the two center back. Rodri maybe playing a deep line playmaker with more defensive responsibilities, and then I would replace Silva. Just maybe play Reinders here. Box to box midfielder could do a job for him. And honestly, Doku, he's a great player. What I would try is really replace Doku. I would put Semenyo there, and then I would remove Doku here and start with Cherky. I mean, Cherky's been in great form. He's been balling. I think he deserves to start. This midfield looks a little bit better. Obviously, like the formation in tactics, like the 4-1-4 it works, but if they had more compact approach, right? So their midfielders were there was a lot of space between the midfielders and the center backs. So this looks a lot better. You get a little bit more coverage for the center backs. Midfield is a little bit more packed. We do know that Nico O'Reilly is, I mean, he's been in a great shape. He's been in great form, and he's available. He actually came in later that game. So what I would do is I would put Ake as a center back. And then just start O'Reilly. I mean, this is a big game. I think this line looks a little bit better. I'm not sure if Matheus Nunes, he's injured or if it was not available. I think it was available because it did come in. That's how I would start the game. Kusanov, I have my questions about him, but you know, I think this formation would be a little bit better than what they started the game. You know, a 4-2-3-1, more impact in the midfield, more coverage for the two center backs with a defensive deep line playmaker in Rodri, with a box to box in Reinders, and attacking midfielder with Foden, and not having Bernardo Silva there with Foden as two attacking midfielders, right? And then Turkey on the right, Semenyo on the left. And obviously you can always swap if you want to, but this is how I would line up in this game. So, yeah, let me know if you agree with this lineup. If you have any questions, if you have any, if you disagree, if you think the 4-1-4-1 works for Manchester City, and maybe it might just be making sure that they're defending a little bit more compact with the midfielders and strikers all pretty closer to the back line. So there you have it. Manchester United didn't just beat City, they exposed cracks they had in their system. It wasn't just about the players that were on the pitch, but the choices Pep made and the tactical blueprint that United exploited. So what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments and I'll respond to each one of those. Thank you and see you next time.